Hey guys, welcome to this video. Thanks for joining me. Now in this video, I'll be addressing a question I received from a subscriber of mine. And this is a question that I believe holds a lot of value because in order to understand the reasons why I decided to close my Bank of America savings account, I need to share more insights as to why and how I went about doing it. If people ask questions like this, I'm able to actually share more information and also enlighten more people that may be thinking of taking the same steps that I took, and thereby they can actually achieve greater results. Now, my decision to close my own savings account does not necessarily mean that's the best situation for you. So you don't necessarily have to do exactly what I did, but it's good to understand the reasoning behind it. And I've already shared those reasonings in the video that I shared about why I closed my account. So if you want to see that video, go ahead and check it out. I'll link it up above. Now, we all know that the interest rates in this current economy is very, very low, and banks have responded by lowering the interest rates they give on savings account. But even in a normal economy, when interest rates was about 2 and above, banks were still paying, big banks like Bank of America, Chase, and all these other banks, they were paying very low interest anyway. So I held on to these accounts for a couple of reasons because I just felt, comfortable with it. That was the main reason. But I wish I had actually switched a long time ago. Now, my recommendations are, if you are thinking of finding banks that pay good interest, you got to understand that big banks like Chase and Bank of America don't pay great interest at all on a savings account. And the best thing you can always get from those banks is just to have a checking account and maybe have a credit card through them. But any other thing, I don't really see any value in it, especially when it comes to savings account. If you are looking for banks that pay decent rates, you might consider using credit unions or banks that serve an association. Those kind of banks would often give better rates. So look into those if you are part of an association, or if you have a job that works with a bank and they may get a better rate. Otherwise, big banks don't offer good rates at this point. Now, the other option of banks that you have are actually these online banks. These banks have existed for a long time and they have good reputation. But the only thing is that you won't have a big bank that you can walk into or a location you can go to. Everything is done online, and trust me, these banks are FDIC insured and your money is safe. Now, the reason why these banks are able to pay better interest is because they don't have that overhead expenses that big banks often face. So by saving their costs from those expenses, they're able to pay better returns on savings accounts. And that leads to my first point. The first type of account that you may consider if you want to close your own account, your savings account, because it's not paying you great interest, is to use high interest savings accounts. There's so many of them online. Marcus by Goldman Sachs is one, Barclays Bank is another one, Ally Bank, so many other banks like that. In fact, Robinhood pays about 0.3% at this point on an account if your money is there for a duration of time. Now, the thing is, there's so many options out there. Look into the ones that suit your needs and that pays you the best for your money. So don't necessarily go by exactly what I'm saying, but do your own due diligence. Now, you remember, because these banks are online, you are obviously relying on the internet to function right and have access to the internet at all times in order for you to have access to your money. High interest savings accounts, the general ones that I've been seeing recently, they pay about 1%, maybe 1.1, 1.2%. And the truth is, you never get anything close to 2%. So it's not that this interest is going to be any greater than what you are getting, but I know it's a bit better. It's just a little bit better than what you're probably getting from these big banks. So I would rather put my money in that temporarily until things go back to normal, especially if you have emergency funds that you're trying to preserve for the duration of time. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is to understand the minimums that are required to keep these accounts going. Otherwise, you may incur some fees. Now, most of them do away with fees, but there are few that require you to maintain a certain amount in those accounts, and make sure you don't go below those minimums, because obviously that will incur some fees. So keep that in mind. The other recommendation I have is this: if you're thinking of closing your savings accounts and moving your money into a better interest paying account, then you may also consider money market accounts. All right. Now, there are different types. There's a money market account, there's a money market fund. Now, the one I have personally is a money market fund, and this is held in a brokerage account. And to be honest, this has been one of the best decisions I also made, because by putting some emergency fund into that account, I'm able to get decent rates based on the current rate of the market. So for example, when interest rates goes up, I realize that the interest that I get on my money also increases. But when interest rates goes down, the rate also goes lower. Now, these money market funds are invested into short-term securities like government securities or treasury bonds or the type of bonds that mature in less than maybe 6 months. And that way, when those bonds come to maturity, they pay you interest on your money, and you can often see that account steadily grows, even though it's a bit small, but it steadily increases over time. Now, one thing to remember about money market accounts is that you often have maybe expenses associated with it. Now, usually these expenses are always very low, but they also compensate by providing you better returns anyway. So keep that in mind. Well, I hope that you found some value in this video, and I hope that you've learned some things that I did, at least in my situation. Now, do your own due diligence, do your own research, and look at the numbers to make sure that you are putting your money in something better than what you were in. You don't want to move your money from something to something that is worse, So do your own due diligence, make sure you do your own work, and also look into the numbers. So if you have found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up, and also leave your thoughts or questions in the comment section below. It definitely helps, and I would often respond to those as well. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in my next video.